we're gonna get Mario, my boy here, into jiu-jitsu. He's actually coming out to Dallas this weekend. So I'm gonna take him on the mats and we're gonna get him choked out. It's gonna be wonderful.
What you drinking?
I have myself a little bit of Balvini.
Okay.
Balvini.
Not bad. Not bad. I had to take it easy on the McCullen. I got a kid now, so I got to conserve money.
Oh yeah, yeah. We have to be fiscally responsible, unlike our federal government.
We're gonna get right into all that, bro. Save, save,
Mhm.
save the pain for the podcast. All right.
My fellow Americans, in this poignant hour, I ask you to join with me in prayer. Almighty God, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic and our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity. Give strength to their arms, stoutness to their heart. They will need thy blessings. Their road will be long and hard, for the enemy is strong. He may hurl back our forces. Success may not come with rushing speed, but we shall return again and again. And we know that by thy grace and by the righteousness of our cause, our sons will triumph until the victory is won.
All right, gentlemen,
All right.
how is it going? How do you guys like that little intro to our first financial man talk podcast? Not man talk, but hey, we're equal opportunity around here, bro. Just
Equal
happened to be
opportunity.
three dudes starting the first podcast.
Right. Absolutely. Look good to me.
Yeah, the benefits of a public education media arts magnet program from South Tucson. That's literally where I learned how to do all that. Is just went to Pueblo High School and they taught us how to do all that stuff. So yay to government spending. Sometimes it works.
You know what, man? It's funny because my public education background came from Arizona, and I meet people from other states, and I'm like, as much as you guys want to talk about our bad public education here, I feel like I'm a little smarter than you. I just think it's how much you pay attention in class.
It's definitely a factor. Definitely
For
a
sure.
factor. So we got here with our first podcast, my fraternal son, one of my longtime friends, Mr. Mario Medina. How's it going, Mario?
What up, Jay? Mr. Sterling Jason
Mr.
Davenport.
Sterling. Yes, the Sterling
El
man.
Charro.
El Charro. Yeah, man. I miss the old days. Now we're all old and balding and not as skinny as we used to
Don't
be.
talking about bolding, man. I'm getting very conscious.
Hey, you got the straight up gallo, man. It's all good, you know.
I love it, bro.
El gallo negro, you're fine, dude. You got no problems.
Feel like
We
a
got-
mariachi now.
Yeah, you could be. We got my good buddy, jiu-jitsu bro, Mr. Mark. You know, I cannot pronounce your Italian last name correctly. Can you please not make me butcher it?
It's DiPietro.
Di Pietro.
Yes, sir.
Di Pietro. Di Pietro. I went to Italy one year. We did a concert tour out there. They love mariachi music. They were like, "Oh, you guys can sing and you guys can play and all this stuff." They thought we were from Mexico. Like, we're from Arizona. Oh, de Mexico, de Mexico. No, Estados Uniti, Estados Uniti. Oh, Estados Uniti. Yeah, it was pretty dope. I don't know how people eat so much pasta and don't get fat in that country, and they don't
Dude.
do it.
Yeah, I eat pasta here and I get fat.
Yeah, we eat the American shit. It's not good for us.
Mm-mm.
So just wanted to bring us together. You know, this podcast, this new endeavor that we're going about. I've done a couple podcasts in the past. I did one with my brand Play Mariachi. I still own it. I just haven't done it because of COVID. You know, it's a little awkward to get people together, and I just did not like Zoom podcasts. But for the last year, as you guys have probably seen on my Facebook, I'm constantly just ranting about finance and economics, and it kind of comes off, I understand, a little condescending and arrogant and like, you know, who does he think he is type of thing. I don't really care how it comes off, but I understand that it comes off that way. And so I've been talking to people have been talking to me. Mario and I have similar interests. You know, Mark, we have similar interests, and we care about what happens to our money. We care about, you know, what happens to our financial future. And so this is kind of just bringing us together. It doesn't matter who we are, where we work, what our education is. The fact is we care about our future. We care about our family, our people. And that's the whole point of this podcast. So I'll let Mr. Mario introduce himself, and then I'll shut up.
Well, the good thing you're a talker, bro. You fill the room with your boys very nicely. So, Mario Medina. I'm originally from Mexico, so I'm an immigrant, right? I come from Mexico. I didn't speak a word of English. My mom came to the U.S. to look for the American dream, right? And then, similarly, I am looking for my American dream. What that means for me, it might be something totally different for somebody else. But at the end of the day, dude, I think the American dream, it's a little corrupted now, where people are complacent, you know what I mean? Where people are just, okay being okay. And that's not okay with me. That's not how I roll. So I really want to, have an opportunity, have a platform to kind of just let my 2 cents out and just let people know that being okay is not okay. Kind of like the commercial.
Yeah, we can't tell you're from Mexico, bro. I mean, your accent.
No más. No más.
Yeah,
I gotta carry it proudly, man. You know what I mean?
And I remember when we were kids, and I talk about kids, we were like 20, 21 years old, and you were like, what, 19 when you pledged? You were about to be
like
20?
18, 19, yeah,
18,
something like
19. That. You were about to have a kid.
Right.
I remember that. Your firstborn was still cooking when you were online. And I remember some of those things about you just saying like, hey, man, I'm in college. I'm an immigrant. I'm just, happy to be here. I'm trying to pursue a dream, and to watch you go all the way from there to now pursuing your financial future, all that kind of stuff. And not just going out for yours, but trying to help your community, right? You try to, every person you talk to, you try to help them just understand like, no, you don't just put all your money in a bank. No, the government's not going to take care of you. No, the stock market is not at an all-time high because of some magic voodoo numbers that you're too stupid to understand. No, none of that. None of that is true, So,
right. I mean, I guess like the whole American dream for people in America, it's grow up, go to college, get a good job, and that's kind of like brainwash,
a little bit these days.
A little bit, right? But at the end of the day, it is what you make it, right? It is whatever you want it to be. So I just love the opportunity to kind of talk to people and just make sure that they know that there's an outlet, a second option per se, option B, where you can take control of your own destiny. You know what I mean? As opposed to just leave it to other people, whether that be an employer, whether that be the government, or your own family. Yeah. We're responsible for our own actions, and I think we should take care of that. You know what I mean? We should be the ones taking responsibility, whether or not we get to, not anymore graduate, right? I mean, whether or not we actually retire and retire with dignity. You know what I mean?
We don't want to be living in Bumsville in our 70s and not have any purchasing power or any money. We can't make choices. I know we all have family members that worked their whole lives, and when they were close to dying in their later years, they couldn't even make the choice how they wanted to go out, right? The choice was made for them.
Exactly.
So, Mr. Mark, what is your backstory, sir? What is your gripe?
Well, I mean, much like you guys, I'm an Arizona born native. My family, they're of Italian descent. They immigrated here back in the 20s and 30s. Grandfather actually more around the World War II era because Mussolini and all the crap that was going on over there. And from the time I was a kid, we were always taught to respect our country, to say the pledge, to listen to our teachers, to respect officers, firefighters, EMS. Basically the people that built the backbone of this country. And I feel like some of that is missing, and your friend was just saying, he's an immigrant here. I feel like, even though in terms of the fact that we're different generations, you said you're first generation here, bro?
Yeah. Yes, Mark. First
Yeah.
generation.
And to me, it's interesting because it's like, I feel like you and I have more in common, even though, you're of a different descent than I am, but our work ethic is the same and our appreciation and love for this country and what it has to offer is the same. I feel like I have more in common with you than some of today's youth, just because, I feel like there's this consistent brainwashing that's happening in this indoctrination within our schools that, um, I don't know how much longer our country can have that last, right? Because now everyone's saying, go to school, get your 4-year degree and go work for someone else. And it's like, that's not the only option, man. It's not the only option. I feel like the better option almost today, is going into business for yourself, right? Making your own future, taking time off when you want, when, go where you want to go, do the things you want to do for your family. And there's different ways to get there, regardless of your financial status. Sure, it takes time and it takes hard work, but I feel like people don't want to put in the work for that anymore, right? It's like, Jason and I talk a lot about it all the time. Like jujitsu it's very, very difficult. It's hard, man. There's times I leave there every single day and I'm like, why am I still doing this, bro? I suck.
I just got choked. I'm out of shape, and some white belt almost got me. What the hell? Yeah, that's definitely. It's like the most discouraging feeling when, you get whooped by a black belt. You're like, well, at least it took me, 10 seconds.
that was supposed to happen, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
but you get this white belt who may have been like a Division II college wrestler, and you're like, I think I can handle him, and then 15 seconds you're on your back. But
yeah,
it's just that fight, bro. I think that the common theme that the three of us seem to have is just that fight, and um I don't know if a lot of people in our country still have that anymore. Maybe some of the older generation, but I feel like a lot of that's missing in the newer generation, bro. And I don't know how much longer we can sustain that, man, because people don't want to go out and educate themselves and do their own sort of do their own research, right? Like, I know we'll probably get into it, but look at our national debt, man. If that's not concerning to everybody, I don't know what is.
What's concerning about the national debt is that you can tell a person what it is and what the significance of that much debt is, and it just doesn't phase them. They're like, oh well, whatever. They're like, no, 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 no. I said $30 trillion of debt. That's about $250,000 per U.S. citizen on our back right now. My son was just born a month ago, and he was born with $250,000 of debt that he has to pay in taxes the rest of his life.
But that just goes back to kind of looping it back. I mean, people are okay right now just being okay. See what I mean? I mean, people don't care about the future anymore. They're just okay to be okay for the moment. And that, I have an issue with people just being on the survival stage. I was talking to my wife this morning, and like, dude, we're at war against zombies, like real life zombies, because I just feel like people are asleep, bro. They're just acting. They're not living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just to follow up with what you were saying, Jason, I just looked it up real quick. According to truthandaccounting.com, the U.S. published national debt right now is $28.3 trillion, and per each taxpayer is $855,000.
Holy shit.
That's a house in New York, bro.
Yeah, that's a lot. So it's gotten worse since the last time I looked at it.
Correct. I think the last time we probably looked at it, we weren't taking into account the last COVID stimulus package that was passed.
You mean the last 40% of all American dollars printed in 18 months? Less than 18 months?
Yep.
Yeah, that hadn't factored in yet. You usually don't do regression until after the fiscal year. So that's another thing so we're going to get into it. So my background, like I said, background, titles, all that stuff, it really doesn't matter. But we do all kind of carry a backstory. We all make money, legit how we make money through expertise, through knowledge. My background was in economics, and I kind of fell into it. I wanted to be a marketing major. I wanted to study business. I kind of wanted to be like a Mexican version of like Gordon Gekko from Wall Street. That's kind of what I wanted to do. I was like, if I can do that, that would be awesome. But I started as a music major, pre-business major. I joined the fraternity. I did a lot of stupid shit, and I ended up not really progressing in marketing because it was just not working out. And so then some professor is like, why don't you go into economics? He's like, you're a marketing student who's passing, not just passing, but acing all of my econ 101 and 200 classes. Like, why don't you just transfer to economics? I'm like, okay, well, I did that. And I excelled, dude. I was like, A. It was a great last 2 years. I learned so much about how things actually work. And then I went back to school and got into electrical engineering, thinking, all right, well, if I want to have a technical background, I need to study engineering, science, and physics. And I spent a good part of 6 years doing that part-time until I got to a point where the money I was making in my day job was higher than that of a first-year engineer. And so I'm like, okay, now I've reached an indifference point, because even if I continue and finish the last year of my engineering degree, I'm already making more money than a first-year engineer that I would be starting out as. And so I was like, all right, well, that kiboshes the whole thing. I got too many raises too fast, and I priced myself out of that market. And I was like, and that's economics.
Right.
That is real economics. You can't just do things to do them. If you have certain goals in mind, and if you don't even realize there's a goal line, then yeah, you're going to go off and you're going to get $100,000 in debt. You have no way to pay it back. You have no skill set. You have no market. You don't even realize your own potential and your own value. I was lucky that I had mentors that taught me how to realize those things, and I didn't make stupider decisions, but Mario has a very interesting background, and I want him to get a little into it. Then we're going to get into two topics. I just want to kind of get your guys' feelings about two topics. And I don't want to keep you here all night, because trust me, bro, this stuff can go all night, man. So I know everybody's got stuff to do.
That's fine. Well, my background is, like you said, it's a little interesting. When I was going to school, I was a pre-med. I wanted to get into the medical field. Then, I realized that I had to graduate and get a bachelor's degree before I can go to a professional school. So, me coming from Mexico, I'm like, I'm hungry, man. I need to make money now as opposed to wait another 12 years. So that kind of derailed me, right? And then I got into some trouble. I have a kid. So my priorities kind of changed. So I was kind of forced to go out to provide for my kid, to provide for my family. So I started in restaurants. I always love food. And that's one of the things that I'm doing still. I got into the food business, and with restaurants now I'm in distribution. But there was always, I think, in the back of my mind saying that I could do more with my life, and just not knowing or not understanding how money works here in the U.S. Kind of pushed me to find a way to kind of get myself educated, to Marcus' point. People don't want to be educated themselves. They kind of want to hand out, kind of like a download some information to my head magically, which is not possible. That you actually have to go out there and read some books, do some research. And that's what kind of forced me into the financial services industry, where I'm learning about money, how to protect my money now and for the future. So that's kind of like that background, and that's how Jason and I started talking about where the future of America, where the future of our generation is going money wise, and why we think it's so important to kind of just talk about it, because at least in my culture, it's kind of frowned upon to be talking about money, religion, and politics at the table. And you know what? I see a lot of my people struggling with money because we don't talk about it. It's kind of like a taboo, and I just want to derail that. So
it's hard because you have a jefe or a jefita that'll tell you what they think about money, and what they think about money is saving all the dollars in a mattress.
Yeah,
right?
but
Like,
here's
no.
the thing. Here's the thing. When we grow up, right? We grow up and we take their opinions for granted. We take their advice for granted. But when you're older, you're an adult.
Yeah.
Check this out. If you buy their opinions, you're buying their lifestyle. See? So if you're jefita, your grandma, your grandpa, if you want their lifestyle, definitely listen to them. If not, you gotta listen to other people. That done what you want to do, or that are in the place where you want to end up at. So that's my 2 cents on that.
So Mark, besides being a blue belt jiu-jitsu extraordinaire, and you served too, if I remember correctly, right? High school.
No. I actually I didn't. But my long-term career goal was to get into law enforcement, and
Oh, okay.
sort of recently, I've decided to kind of
Kind of a bad
pursue.
time.
Yeah, I've kind of decided to pursue a different path just because of you know all the different stuff going on, and I know everybody has their own opinions on the matter. Just like any other profession, there's good officers, there's bad officers. More good than bad. And I know we joke around about it a lot, but
I know. I always tell you I don't like cops because I'm from the South Side, but I just joke around with you.
yeah. And it's pretty interesting. I don't want to get too off topic, but I was reading an article the other day that the governor up in Seattle is basically begging for federal assistance now because they've been consistently rioting up there since I think since pre-election, man. So it's just funny how the tables turn that he was outside with the rioters and marching with them, and now after what it's been 5-6 months of it consistently nonstop, they need to get law and order back in place there. But my background as well, out of high school, I started working in finance. I worked for a mutual fund company, an actively managed mutual fund company.
Okay.
And then bounced around. I was in the for-profit education sector for a while, and I absolutely hated that. A lot of stuff I saw there just didn't sit well with me, so I decided to leave that. Got back into finance, a large company here in Arizona. They're a large brokerage company, and then now I currently work for a wealth management company in the wealth management sector, primarily dealing with private equity and hedge. So throughout that, I've kind of had a little bit of exposure to different segments of the market. So starting with like the stocks and the bonds and the mutual fund, that's kind of more the blue collar stuff, right? 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, that's kind of stuff that, the three of us, we can have those sort of things ourselves, right? We can have our own IRAs and stuff like that. And now I'm kind of in the industry where kind of the big fish play in the hedge and private equity side, where you need to have minimum fund investment sometimes or $1 million or more. So
Yep.
It's just interesting to see the thought processes between your average investor and the people that have been in the game for a long time and are making $100 million, $200 million, $1 billion on deals. So it's definitely interesting, man, and the thought process is completely different. But to me, I feel like the market is always driven by consumer confidence, right? If people think their money can work for them and they think that it's a good investment, whether or not they've actually looking at the financials or not, they're going to invest. And your average investor, they don't know the nitty gritty like maybe the three of us do, who have spent time to educate ourselves and learn a little bit more about it. So that's why anytime you see something come out on like CNN Money or whatever that's talking about this, that, and the other, it can drastically impact the market because it all comes down to consumer confidence, what people think is going to happen, right?
Because it's become speculation, basically.
Absolutely. That's all the market is speculation.
Like GameStop, right? People asked me 6 months ago, what do you think of GameStop? And then when it started peaking, what do you think of GameStop? Should I buy in? I'm like, no, that's a terrible idea to just pile into GameStop. Now, at the time, I'm using fundamental knowledge of what I know about economics and trading. Yep. And the fundamentals say GameStop was shorted for a reason, because it was going to go down.
Yep.
And okay, yes, true. Some people made a killing if they held GameStop and had GameStop. And that wasn't them being bullish, genius investors. That was not them being great, savvy money market managers or even brokers or investors. That was just them playing at Vegas and they won.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
So that brings us to our kind of first topic for the podcast in general. Keep us on track here. Is when I texted you guys, I said, I don't like to do scripted things because people can smell bullshit a mile away. Right.
Totally.
But there's a word. And like I said, I wanted to be kind of a Mexican Gordon Greco, right? The word is greed.
Yep.
Greed. The thing that drives people to make irrational or rational decisions, depending on how they think and react to word and feeling is greed. I texted you, Mark, about, okay, what do you think about greed? And you had a very interesting first response. And I was like, yeah, that's whatever greed is to you, that's what I want to get your perspective on. Like, so when you hear the word greed, what do you think about when you hear that word?
To me, I think about, you know, the first thing that comes to me, having been in corporate America for so long, and let's hope to God someone who's working at, where I do doesn't see this and take this the wrong way. But I think about corporate greed and the extent that those that are in power, and have wealth, the extents they'll go to keep that, the things they'll do that, might be shady. And, it's just that thing. Once you have power, once you've tasted it, you don't want to let it go. So I start thinking about that from a corporate perspective, right? Because, people like us who, maybe we live an average American life, upper middle class, right? We're not in a position yet. Hopefully one day we will be, but we're not in a position yet to drastically change the outcome of thousands of people's lives from a financial perspective, right? If you have a company that's a Fortune 500 company, or even one of the bigger investment companies or insurance companies in the world, your financial decisions and the things that you decide can impact thousands and thousands of your employees. And for me personally, I'm not a Bernie Sanders supporter. I don't subscribe to his thought process, but one thing that he has said that historically over time, I think since it's like the 1940s to now, is that the top level executives within all the major companies, investing companies, their salaries and their benefit packages have increased dramatically from like the 40s until now, to where it's like 10 or 15 times what it used to be, adjusted for inflation. So there may have been a gap back in the 40s. Say maybe your average CEO made 7 or 8 times, the average analyst. Now they're making 50 times what the average analyst made. And to me, I think about corporate greed in that sense. And I also think about, back then you could have a husband go to work, the wife stay home and raise 2 or 3 kids. You could have a family home, 2 vehicles, and, maybe still be able to take a vacation. Now, most families aren't in that position. You have to have 2 working adults to be able to afford those things.
Just anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's one point that I think about from an economic perspective when you paint that scenario, and that's a real scenario. And for me, I blame government spending for that to occur, right? I blame inflation, and I blame the fact that we were taking off of a gold standard before either of us was ever born.
Yep.
We were taken off of a standard that lasted for 5,000 years in Western society for a reason. And the reason why you have such an inflated price differential from the 40s to now is because there is no ledger that keeps accountability for how much money is in a system, right?
Right.
When I think of corporate greed, corporations, as much as they lobby Congress, they don't necessarily control the Fed. They are whales. They can look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk can change the price of Bitcoin with a single tweet, right? And he can get away with it without being charged with securities fraud, which, you talk to certain people who work in that industry, and that's very borderline. When you say something, it can trigger a pump and a dump. That can be considered securities fraud, right?
For sure.
So I think you're right that corporations and people who have money and who are financial whales do want to hold on to that power, the purchasing power that affords them. And they will do so. And I think the best layman example of that is in that movie Margin Call. If you've never seen Margin Call, that's a movie where the 2008 housing financial crisis, one of the firms figured out that it was going to pop, and they actually triggered the bust. And they said it directly. The main guy, the guy that was the villain from Die Hard 3, he was very clear about it. He's like, you can be first, you can be smart, or you can cheat. He's like, I don't cheat. And as much as I like to think that we have a lot of smart people in here, it's a hell of a lot easier just to be first. So they're the first to get out. They make all their profit. And by the time the market closes, everything that they were holding was a junk bond. And these are mortgage-backed securities. They triggered in the movie the market failure, the market crash, right? So yeah, that's the best response. If you're holding a bunch of toxic and bad assets on your books, as a CEO, you are responsible to your shareholders for those prices. So you better offload those shares because you're beholden to your shareholders and your stock price. If you keep them on your books to try to satisfy a moral hazard after the government allowed this entire system to be created, well, it's like, well, shit, do I have a moral hazard or do I protect my share investors? Like, which do I do? I didn't create this mess. I have it. I'm the one holding the bag, so to speak, right? So that's kind of one of the things that I've always thought of is, yes, there's greed. Yes, there's corporate greed. Yes, people will. Now, if they do things that are illegal or harmful, like dumping toxic waste into a lake, Michigan, or whatever, that's what the government is supposed to be there for, to sanction them and say, no, you can't cut costs to maximize profit. We know what results from that. You cannot develop monopolies. You will be fined and you will go to jail if you're found criminal of harm, right? That's happening less and less, right? People that get found to do shit like that in the last 20 years, and we got to remember, it's 2021. 2000 was a long time ago.
Yes,
It's
it
been
was.
2 decades, and a lot of people get away with that kind of shit. Mario, what do you think about greed?
Greed, first thing that comes to mind, it's grit.
Grit?
Yes.
Like, I want it. I want that Rolly. I want that Lambo.
Not necessarily. When it comes down to greed, like you go to corporate greed, right?
Right.
For the average Joe, for the average person, including myself, like Marco said, we don't control the outcome, or we don't have the power to change the lives of millions of people. So in my book, I gotta do whatever I gotta do to stay afloat. You know what I mean? So whether that be, get a second job, get a second career, control my streams of income, that's where I see, the little bit of greed, on the average Joe, because at the end of the day, dude, you got to become resourceful. You got to become this person that shows resiliency. So if you're not controlling the outcome of millions of people, that means that you're in the boat. And you actually, if you fall off the boat, you decide to drown, or you're swimming. So kind of goes off topic, greed.
But for you, it's more survival, right?
Yeah.
Greed is a survival mechanism for you to say, hey, I just want my little piece. I don't want people to take away my little piece of what I work for, which for me, we talk about inflation, we talk about taxes. People don't know they're the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they want both, right? They want you to pay higher taxes, and then they want more inflation at the same time. And people are like, what does that mean? So what milk is going to be $2 instead of $1? Yeah. That's exactly what that means. You know what happens when you purchase that milk? You have to pay a sales tax. Where does that sales tax go? It doesn't just disappear. You're not just paying for shits and giggles. It's going places, right? What happens to be able to get the money to buy the milk in the first place, to pay the sales tax? You had to work for it. What happened when you got your check? You got jacked. Right?
What about the greed? Unemployment. Unemployment, man. I'm going through this with my industry. I don't know about you guys, but there's not enough people to work the restaurants. There's not enough people out there that you can pay them enough to come out of the freaking unemployment, man. They're enjoying their unemployment benefits too much.
Right.
And that's only hurting the business people, you know what I mean? And that's only hurting, the actual prices of, food in the restaurants. People that just don't get it, bro. And it's disheartening to see business owners actually going through the pains of being in an inflationary market where everything costs more, yet they don't want to adjust their prices.
And they have to, right?
They're subsidizing their diners to come in and eat. I mean, that portion of the prices that they're not adjusting for is coming out of their profits. And either they start adjusting their prices, or they're going to be closing their doors.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you think, what's my favorite mercado? What's my favorite little restaurant? What's my favorite family-owned business? And you're walking around with the concept of, oh, people are greedy. Oh, they just want money. No, they want to survive.
Right.
Right. They don't want to be jacked. And they're in a situation where that favorite restaurant that makes those tacos just the way you like them, with the green salsa and the carne seco that's just perfect, juicy, right? They're going out of their margin of even staying in business just to provide that to you, whilst you sit in the restaurant talking about universal basic income, talking about all of these spending bills and how we need this. Well, look at the building that you're sitting in and the people that are serving you food and the cooks in the kitchen that are cooking that food and the owner of the business, which if you're an owner of the business, you want to make money.
Of
right?
course.
You don't just want to do this to break even. What the hell are you even doing it for? You could go get a job at a company or a corporation and not have to deal with all this shit, you know? And that for me, the greed, like Mario, very similar, is really about best response. It's about survival, right? Now, some people get a little too greedy, and I've always said, don't get too greedy, man. You know, don't spend more than what your budget can afford you. Don't take out debt, right? That's greed. You know, when you take out debt, you're being greedy because you're buying shit you can't afford to pay for, right? I'm very guilty of that. Look at behind me. Some of this stuff was bought on credit cards. You know, I was like, I have a salary, I can afford it, but some of this shit I bought with interest, and now I'm paying for it, right? If I really wanted to be greedy, I would say, "Ooh, I think I want to just declare bankruptcy. I don't ever want to pay for it, but I want to keep the stuff." It's like, well, how much do you have to consume, you know, in a lifetime? It's that gets down to that bad greed, right? But the good greed is, I just want to make more than my employees make as a whole, right? Not even that much more. It doesn't make sense for me to own a restaurant if everybody who works in the restaurant collectively makes more money than I take home every month. And that's exactly what everybody's been living with the last year, trying to keep their restaurant open.
It's interesting too, man. I've been reading numerous articles back to what Mario said, that you know, these industries right now, they're having a hard time. I see it myself. I have a second job, and the reason that I do is because I want, you know, my piece of the pie. And if I have to go get a second job to get it, that's what I'm going to do. You know, whether that's greed or not, I don't know. But the fact is that I'm willing to go work for it. But, you know, I'm a bouncer part-time at a bar on the weekends, you know, just to make some extra income to be able to, you know, buy either things I want or maybe take advantage of some investment opportunities. I've been looking heavily right now at some of the cryptocurrencies because they're kind of all over the place. Maybe not as a long-term investment, but if I can, you know, make a thousand or two here and there, you know, and then turn around and flip that and put it in something else, you know, maybe that's greed, maybe that's not. Trying to do it as best as I can. But, you know, I think the government right now is incentivizing people not to work, right? Because you have your normal unemployment of 240 or 260 or whatever a week, plus an additional $300 or $400 or something dollars on top of that. You know, that's more than some of those cooks and those individuals make in the restaurant. So that's why, you know, they don't want to come back. So that industry and this recovery, so to speak, is suffering because our government is incentivizing people not to go back to work, right? Just to sit here and basically take the handout that they're going to give them. You know, and if I think about it from those individuals' perspectives, it's kind of like, well, let's see, I don't have to go to work and I can make more money than if I'm at work. It's like, that's kind of almost like what a business owner wants, right? Like, I can start this business, I can work my ass off, I can do everything right, and then I can get into a position to where it's like I stop into my business, you know, maybe once every 2 weeks. I make sure that operationally everything's running good, people aren't stealing money from me, but then I hire a manager basically to sit there and run it for me, and I'm off in wherever, Bora Bora, making money hand over fist, and you know, I don't have to work for it. So there's kind of a similarity between you know, between those two. It's like the government is incentivizing, you know, workers that may be, you know, low to work, but the fact of the matter is that we need all of those positions. Those are the positions that make the economy go. truck drivers, police officers, cooks, all of those are important. So it's like, back when the whole COVID thing was going on and they were saying that what was the word they were using? I'm like a necessary worker or whatever. I'm like, well,
essential worker.
Yeah, an
that
essential
freaks me the fuck out. If you ever
I'm like-
watched, if you ever watched, I don't mean to sidebar you, but
No.
that's another thing about economics is the language that the government uses. If you guys ever watched Schindler's List about the Jews and Holocaust, World War II, right? One of the terms that Schindler used, is that's an essential worker. He was talking about a Jewish worker. And when they were saying that shit on TV all last year, I was freaking out because, like, you don't call people essential workers in a capitalistic society. That's bullshit.
Everybody's essential, bro. Every job is essential.
But if you look at the list, it was pretty much everyone.
Yeah, it was almost everybody, right? Everybody who's
ironic. Yeah,
that's a side effect actually of now looking at housing markets, right? You see a lot of people that had an industry job that were able to work from home, that never lost a cent, but then got tons of money and stimulus. They're the ones buying second homes right now.
Yeah.
They're the ones saying, ooh, I got all this extra cash. I'm already very fiscally sound and responsible. I'm getting 20 to 30% of my time back not having to be in an office. Let's go buy property. And why the hell wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Right? But that's greed, right? People are like, do you need two houses? Well, this isn't socialist Russia, communist Russia. It doesn't matter what I need. If I can afford it, I'm going to buy it.
Right. We own the means. The government doesn't.
Exactly.
And
so, yeah,
it's interesting too, man. When you think about what is economics, it's basically the study of scarcity of resources. And there's another perspective or another angle that you can think about this and how greedy the government is. And I think part of it comes down to greed too, the fact that they took us off the gold standard, right? Because they wanted the ability to be able to print money whenever they want for whatever they wanted. So, I don't know, man. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm a huge advocate and supporter of Rand Paul because he's pretty much one of the only senators that I see consistently standing on the table screaming about national debt and the fact that we have no way to hold ourselves accountable for spending now. And the general public, I think part of the reason that there's so much indoctrination going on in public schools, right, is because kids come out of school not knowing how basic personal finance works. They don't understand the premise of a credit card. They don't understand the premise of a FICO score. They don't understand how to build long-term wealth. But if you can keep people stupid to the fact of how to do that, the government can do whatever they want whenever they want because most people don't understand it. And for me, it's a little bit frustrating because we live in an age now where with the click of a mouse, you can pretty much go to multiple different websites or YouTube and learn from industry professionals about how this stuff works, but you have to be willing to seek that knowledge out. So it's out there. But I feel like for example, bro, I think about it all the time. I go back to high school and I think about some of these bullshit classes. Like for most people, bro, your average person is never going to use calculus in their life, right? Unless they're going into some I
object greatly.
Mr. Engineer.
I
to say the average people.
Calculus is a wonderful thing. How dare you?
Oh
but if you think about it, bro, if you have someone who's going to go be a car salesman or go work at Costco or something, directly out of high school, very blue collar, which is what most people do. Yeah. I think that time would be better spent in a personal finance class or maybe or maybe a class that just sort of explains. I know we had Arizona history and and U.S. history, but maybe a class to explain basically how your local government functions. Who are the people to get in contact with if you have an issue with a local ordinance? That stuff, dude, you got to look all that stuff up. There's lists of phone numbers, 10
Nobody
pages
answers.
long. Exactly, yeah. No one answers, and it's you have the biggest power you have is to make a change in your local community. Maybe not at the state level, maybe not at the federal level, but you have the option and the ability to make a change locally more easily than you do, at a state or a national level. And even finding that information sometimes, bro, is difficult. I've written senators, I've written state reps, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, man. And to your point, they never answer, they never return your emails, they never do any of that. And the dumber you keep people, the more you can get away with.
I will argue in defense of Isaac Newton and calculus, and I don't want to derail you, but I just have to say it. If you are that car salesman who understands rates of change and understands regression, which is Calc 1 for 16 weeks, you're not going to be a salesman for very longer. You're going to be an owner.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's the only, it's like a little bit, right? Just a little bit. But you could spend 10 years being a salesman and then make it into an owner, and then be an owner and not understand the regression or the differentials in your business and have to hire somebody who knows that shit. Or you could know that shit and hire somebody and mentor them and say, hey, this is how I like my analysis done. This is when I expect. I want limits here, here, and here. I want to know when we're approaching and testing those limits. And you don't know those things if you don't know first year calculus, unless someone teaches it to you.
You do bring up a legitimate point.
It is a legitimate point, but like Henry Ford said, that's what I got people for.
Exactly. If you can afford people, if you got Henry Ford money, then yeah, fuck calculus. I don't care.
I like that. Fuck calculus, man. No.
If I have Henry Ford money, fuck calculus. Exactly.
No. What does Joe Rogan call it? He calls it fuck you money.
I love that. Yeah. He's like, what's the point of having fuck you money if you don't say fuck you? And that's one of my favorite things to say. You both know that.
Yes.
And I don't even have the fuck you money. I just like saying it.
You want to talk about greed too, man. I start thinking about post-secondary education. And one of the things that always frustrated me going to school is it's like, why am I spending $1,800 on a sociology class that has absolutely nothing to do with my degree program, or some of these other elective classes that I remember I took one, I was like, this is such a waste of time, bro. And it was cultural diversity in the media. And it was basically one of those. Yeah, it was one of those. It's like you have a list of 10 classes that fits into this whatever bullshit category of so many credits that you need. And I'm like, why can't why can't we lower maybe the amount of time that I have to be in school by 6 months or a year? Will reduce my student debt, right, by a year's worth of tuition or 6 months, whatever it is. That gives me the opportunity to start making money faster because I'm not paying student loans off as quickly. Yeah. And I can help contribute, to either starting my own business and hiring other employees or creating wealth for myself and my family. So that's kind of something that I take an issue with. And I think it does come down to a little bit of greed, right? These institutions want to make as much money as they can. I don't blame them, but for us, that sucks, bro. Like, I can't tell you one thing that I remember from that class because it was 10 years ago. I don't remember anything about that class because it meant nothing to me. And it's not because I don't appreciate cultural diversity whatsoever, but cultural diversity in the media, I'm like, I don't understand how this is applicable.
The title. You remember what a pain in the ass it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a finance degree, bro. Like, I don't understand the necessity to take this class, and it's just costing me $1,800 because it's it's at a state institution that charges $1,600 to $1,800 per course.
Yeah, they need to get rid of some of that shit. And I call it get rid of some of that shit because there are things, those were meant to keep you as a well-rounded, well-groomed individual from leaving college. Like, yeah, I took an art class. Oh, that's a Monet. Okay, I get that. Okay, cool. I can appreciate that, certain things, right? But yeah, some of the catalog, just even when we were in school, it just completely got out of control. You're just like, how many PhDs do you need studying a topic, right? I guess as many as you can handle, but yeah, there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of things that you have to now force yourself onto people. And that kind of brings us on to our last topic. I know you guys got to go soon, but I wanted to touch on this just a little bit. Wanted to get your perspective on this right here. The good old dollar, huh? Money. You see,
Money.
Everybody says that this is the root of all evil. It's like, well, this is legal tender.
Right.
We are required by law to accept this as payment, and we are required by law to transact it as payment. We can't use anything else. I can't use francs. I can't use German marks. I can't use euro. I can't use pound sterling, even though all those currencies are more valuable than this. We are required by law to use this,
Is that
right?
in plastic?
Well, that's just the thing, right? Is that when now that's a scary thing. So I'll give my perspective on money and then I'll shut up, right? So my perspective on money. Money is supposed to be when you take a 300 level econ course and you look at international finance or international macroeconomics, right? The international markets, which is the money market. This is supposed to be a store of value.
Yes.
That is it. This is not a debt note. This is not supposed to be an IOU mierda. That's what this is right now. Is IOU shit, basically, right? It is supposed to be a store of value. And for as long as we have been human societies who trade and barter, we have used many different things as money, right? So if you look at things like gold, right? This is gold. It's not solid gold, but there's some gold in here, right? Very little bit of gold. A lot of people say gold is money. Now people are saying crypto, and I'm like you, Mark, I'm starting to get very curious about crypto because it's so volatile that if you're smart enough to look for support and resistance, then you know when good times to buy, when good times to sell might occur. And you can take your own gamble, right? Everybody likes to go to Vegas and they can play poker as best as anybody else, right? So that's what money is supposed to be. Money is supposed to also give you purchasing power, right? If you have 1,000 German marks in Weimar, Germany in the 30s, you don't have anything.
Right.
If you have 1 trillion Venezuela bills today, not 30 years ago, not 100 years ago, today in Zimbabwe and in Venezuela, they are printing $1 trillion notes. Imagine in 5 to 10 years if this said $1 trillion, 1 trillion American dollars. Do you know how fucked we would all be if they start having to print $1 trillion notes? We'd be living in the Stone Age. That's the power of currency and inflation and the influence the government has over money, right? That's my perspective, right? Purchasing power and store of value, that's money. What do you guys think? I know that's a lot. That's a lot of shit.
I'll let Mario take it first.
Well, money is money, bro. I mean, like money is a way to track sometimes, how you're doing in life.
How much savings you got? How much investments you got?
It goes back to the purchasing power, right? I mean, you need something of value to trade in, and usually it's money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, dude, I mean, if you don't got money, you don't got the opportunity to purchase, the opportunity to give, the opportunity to invest. At the end of the day, you gotta trade something of value in that thing that we use legally, like you said, money.
So one of the things that scares me, Mario, is what if indeed the purchasing power and the value of the money that we get paid in, what if that starts to go down? How difficult would it be if the $100 in your wallet buys you $60 or $50 worth of goods and services?
But that's what's been going on since the 70s. Going back to what $10,000 could afford you back then to what 10,000 can afford you now.
Yeah, you could use 10,000 to almost buy a house.
I mean, it goes hand in hand with the minimum wage too, right? I mean, the minimum wage now it's $12, but the average salary for somebody with a degree is still pretty much the same than 3 or 5 years ago.
So is that what it is in Arizona right now? Is $12?
Yeah, $12.
It's $12 in Arizona.
12. They want to make it to $14.
Holy crap. Okay, so if they make it, wow, that's crazy. When I made minimum wage in Arizona, it was $6.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a long time ago, but $12 in AZ.
What is it?
I go back even further. It was $5.25.
Oof.
Yeah.
$12. So what is it like in Arizona right now? I left a year ago because I saw all of this craziness happening, and I got the hell out of Dodge. while the hell was getting good. And I've heard so many things about Tucson and Phoenix in general and the policies that they're doing out there. And you look at Texas, Texas is like, hey, we got a lot of rich people here. We got a lot of wealthy people here and people who own shit. We're not fucking with our money supply.
Yeah, fuck off.
Exactly.
Man,
But it doesn't seem that way in Arizona. And I'm like, man, most of my friends and family live there. I'm like, what is it like right now? You know,
dude, you know what? It's interesting. I have a I have a buddy who rents an apartment up in he's off of like the 101 and what the hell is it? Desert Ridge area, that's what it is. And we were looking the other day. They just got finished building some condos there, some 2-bedroom condos, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I think they're like 13 or 1400 square feet. Granted, it's a nice area. They're luxury condos. Starting price is $599 on a luxury condo in Arizona. Yes, you heard that right. I tell you about spit out your soda. Dude, that is California prices in Arizona. And the problem that I have with that right now is renters or renting, prices for that have gone up. So if you're not lucky enough to have been here or own a house or bought a house 10 years ago where your mortgage is actually affordable, how the hell can you afford to live here right now? Because our wages are stagnant in Arizona, man. I haven't gotten a raise from my company. We didn't get one this last year, and we didn't get one the year prior. And even when you do, it might be what, 2-3%. Maybe you kill it that year, and you get like a 5 or 6% raise. But
damn.
When you have condos here going for $500,000, when back in 2007, after the housing market crash, you could buy a 4-bedroom family home for $150,000.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that are locals here and that have lived here and raised their families here are kind of being pushed out because they don't have the means, or the purchasing power, as you say, to stay here. So you have individuals coming from like New York, where they'll sell a house for $750,000.
Cash is cheap.
Absolutely. People from California.
$250,000 in Arizona. I'll get a mansion.
Right. And even now, $250,000, you can't get a mansion here anymore, bro. The housing market is absolutely insane here right now.
Jesus. I sold my house too soon. I probably could have gotten double what I got for it when I sold it last year.
Yeah, if you would have rented.
I was correct. I was just early, which is pretty much the same thing as being wrong.
It's interesting you talk about purchasing power. I was actually just looking for it right now. I'll have to dig it out. It might be in my safe, but I have some old notes, some old tenders, and it's a silver certificate. And basically what used to be printed on our money was that this certificate can be exchanged for basically the value in silver. So that's back when we were on the gold standard, and we don't have that anymore, man. So it makes you really wonder, what is the value of a dollar? What is the purchasing power when we're, trillions in debt?
You know what that is? That is literally fuck you money. That's Texas saying fuck you.
Yep.
Texas makes their own silver coins. So this is actually your coin. When I go to Arizona, bro, I'm going to bring this to you just because I feel like it suits you.
You have your own mint? You have your own mint there?
They have their own mint. They mint their own gold and silver coins.
It's interesting too. I was just looking around and I picked this up. I'm an avid shooter.
Oh yeah.
But right now, the value of ammunition, I'd rather trade ammunition right now than I would money for another good or a service, because the value of this is so high right now that I'd be better off taking a box of 9mm ammo that 2 years ago was $10. It's now $25 to $35 a box. I have more buying power if I use this as a currency than I do our actual dollar.
And that's a great point of money. And that terrifies me, because here's what I mean. I literally do lose sleep over this. And I've lost sleep over this for the last 10 years after I graduated with my degree in economics, because that example, commodities trading as currency, is exactly what happened in Weimar in Germany.
Yep.
That caused the massive desperation of the people to elect. Hitler did not come to power as a dictator. He was elected.
He was elected, right?
He was elected in a landslide. They wanted him, and they wanted what he was offering to the people. Now, we know the ugly history of what happened in World War II, and that's why we always go back to that. Like, it's the biggest case study in economic world history, that and the tulip bubble, because we look at that and we say, when people are uninformed and desperate, the madness that can ensue. And so when I see things like ammunition, chocolate bars, cigarettes, scotch, watches, when I see those things starting to be like, I would rather get paid in bottles of scotch because I can drink one, I can enjoy it, I don't have to pay for it, I don't have to pay any additional taxes on it, and I could sell it and make more from that than I would accepting currency.
Yep.
Those are the precursors to things like world wars, to things like genocides, to things like rioting. What has been going on in this country the last 12 months? A lot of very not nice things, a lot of pissed off people, right? Rioting in the streets, crazy politicians saying crazy things in public, right? That makes me worry about our money situation, right? It really does. But you're right. It would be better off if you took those box of bullets as currency.
I
You'd make
would.
more money.
If they told me today I could take 10% of my pay and in an ammunition of choice, I would do it, just because I know that I can go out private party sale and get, 2 to 3 times more than what I could have 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about it the other day, Jason. A couple years ago, I put together an AR-15. I built it together basically from the ground up. I think it cost me $500 with all the parts and the knowledge that I have to put it together. Turn around and sold it recently for $1,400 and made almost $1,000 off of it.
Don't forget to pay your taxes. Shh. You see, and that's the other thing, and we'll talk about that maybe another episode, is we hear so much about corporate and CEOs and high worth individuals avoiding taxes. And I would say that that's bullshit.
I agree.
The majority of the people, because those people that are so high profile, they have teams of accountants that keep them legal with the IRS because they have so much scrutiny up their butt. They can't not disclose a dollar. If you make more than $250,000 a year or $500,000 a year, you need to cover your ass because you have an auditor just sitting there and waiting for you to fuck up. Now, where's the bulk of the tax evasion coming from then? It's coming from us, the middle class and the poor class. How many people out there do gigs? Look at behind me, my guitar. I declare my earnings on my taxes because I make cash playing as a musician, right? How many of my friends that play mariachi music out there don't declare their side income? That's illegal. Did you know that? Did you know that if you make any kind of money as a side hustle, shit, mowing lawns, if you make it into a business, you have to declare.
You say selling tamales is illegal, man? Come
exactly.
on.
I know. How many of our tias and nanas and mothers sell tamales every Christmas and make a killing, right? They're supposed to report that income.
We have the idea right. The execution is where it's wrong, right? Because having a business is kind of like the number one thing for the middle class to kind of put money back in your pocket tax-wise.
Yes.
I'm not an accountant. Don't take that for advice, but read a little.
Right. Exactly. There are benefits to being a business owner and to filing a certain way on your taxes, right?
I tell people all the time too, bro, if you're not a business owner, and you want to think about your long-term wealth and your financial situation, if you can afford to, man, there are different discount brokerages like Charles Schwab and, many others out there. If you can afford to open an IRA and put, say $100 or $200 in there a month, do it, because that lowers your AGI at the end of the year too. Yep. That may bump you down a tax bracket.
That's what I do. I have a Roth for that exact reason.
So your money goes in your Roth post-tax, right? So that doesn't necessarily affect your AGI. But if there's someone who's making maybe a little bit of extra money, and there's a discussion to be had about how much liquid cash you should have on hand for a rainy day. I've heard people say anywhere from $3 months of your bills to 6 months. There's a constant back and forth debate. But if you have that, me as someone who's been in finance, I would say definitely have a rainy day fund that you can have access to quickly. But other than that, if your money is just sitting there, what are you doing? Right. Like take advantages. And that's why, the smartest people in the world, they call them tax havens and, tax shelters and all that stuff. They're not doing anything illegal. They're just smart.
Yeah.
They're taking advantage of the rules that exist now. Now, for example, the industry that I work in will pay attorneys to draft legal documents. Some of these guys charge almost $10,000 an hour, especially if they're drafting documents for offshore or overseas vehicles, like in Guernsey and stuff like that. They'll charge tens of thousands an hour just to draft those documents. But guess what? We'll pay it because in the long term, it's going to save us a hell of a lot more money tax wise than us maybe, paying $50,000 to draft some sort of legal documentation for a fund that we want to launch.
Right.
Because we know
that's your tax credit. 50K is your tax benefit. So why the hell wouldn't you spend the 10,000, right?
Right. So I spent $50,000 paying some guy to draft these documents. Say it takes him 5 hours, but in the long run, it saved us $100,000. Why not? Yeah. So it's like, if you have the opportunity to reduce your AGI, especially if you're cash strapped, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, because me, I have 3. I actually have 4 vehicles right now, and I'm gonna have more because my son, who was just recently born.
529.
Yes, that's the next one, right? And Mario has things to say about that too. He's like, no.
You could do a custodial account.
Well, I have to look at that because I have my IRA, right? I have a straight IRA that goes in. That I contribute to as well. I have a Roth that I contribute to. I have a 401k that gets just automatically every week that I get paid. And then I have a portfolio. So you see, what I did is I took some of my stuff, I sold some guitars, and I took that money that I'll have to declare as a capital gain because I paid a lot less for it than I sold it for. But I'm taking that money and I'm building a portfolio.
Right.
And that's like, how much shit do you have to do just to stay solvent? Right. That is actually the thing that's going on right now.
So, for example, I have a brokerage account. I have a brokerage account. I have a 401k through my company. We're also one of the few companies that still offers a pension. So I have 2 retirement vehicles through my company.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Like I've been hesitant to leave there because I'm kind of getting double, right? So they'll match me, dollar for dollar up to, I think it's 3 or 4% of whatever I contribute to my 401k, plus 15% of my salary annually goes into a pension. And after 5 years, I'm fully vested in the pension and I can take that when I leave. I've been there 5 years now, so I no longer have to, play by their vesting schedule. Brokerage account. And then like Jason was saying, I have a Roth as well. At one point I had a regular IRA, but I did basically a Roth conversion. And at that time, the money that was in the pre-tax IRA did a Roth conversion, paid my taxes that year. And now the money that I take out of my Roth will be post-tax money. So I don't have to declare it when it comes out. So, there's benefits to both. And again, that's kind of, that's venturing a little bit more down personal finance stuff that they don't teach you in school. You have to learn for yourself.
You have to learn it. And I'm like, why don't they teach it? I come across people, I'm like, why are people not being taught this shit? Because they're so disadvantaged. You want to talk about equality, okay? You want to talk about equality? Teach people how not to go broke.
Right.
There you go.
You know what, dude? I have no problem sharing this whatsoever because when I was younger, my parents are both very blue collar. My dad's been a janitor or maintenance, some form or fashion his whole life. My mom has basically worked call center jobs her whole life. When she was a little younger, she was in the medical industry, but she hurt her back real bad. When I got to school, bro, I had no freaking clue how to spend my money. I went out and I bought basically a brand new Nissan Titan when gas was $4.20 a gallon. And I was like, oh, I can afford this. And then registration comes around and they're like, oh, it's $500 a year to register your car. Oh, you're 20 years old. It's going to cost you, $250 a month to insure this truck. I was paying
tires, bro. Very next year, you're probably doing some wheelies or whatever, right?
Bro, and then it's like, okay, so I was paying on my truck, and I'm like, I worked for a credit card company at the time. I worked for Discover Financial, and if you work there, you got a little bit more of a credit line than your average Joe. My credit was really good, so I got all these credit card offers, bro, and I was like at the club. I was at the club just fucking spending money left and right. And guess what my dumbass had to do? I had to file bankruptcy when I lost my job. I had no disposable income. I wasn't saving any money. So when I was younger, I fucked up. And so as someone who did that, who fucked up, who spent years and years and years trying to repair it and learn, if we can pass any of this on to the younger generation to help them avoid that, I'm all for it, dude. That's why we really need to be teaching personal finance in school. We really need to, because there are a lot of kids, dude, that come out of school that may not, have the best situation at home, and maybe their parents don't completely understand personal finance, right? Like my parents right now, they probably have minimal put away for a rainy day. They don't really understand it. They don't seek the knowledge. And I told myself, I don't want to be like that, dude. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that has to rely on a government, when I'm 70 and shitting myself and can't walk, to put me in some, state-run facility with the worst care possible. And when you die, you die,
It's a horrible way to spend a life.
I think that's a good topic for
the next time. Okay, so next time we're going to talk about retirement,
personal finance,
retirement, personal finance. Maybe we'll touch on tax a little bit, how we approach it, but that's also another tab. You might as well talk about religion when you're talking about taxes, bro. Taxes is woo. That
no
IRS,
taxation
man.
no taxation without representation, Jason.
Oh, there you go.
Shit, man. I wish, we're all gonna get banned for saying that.
Hey, Mark, so one of the things that I really like about what you said was, you can be the change in your local market, right? You could be the change within your community. So I just want to ask, what's the one thing that you're doing to be that change?
So for me, bro, it really just depends. But the thing that I'm really pushing here with individuals is conversations like we're having right now. So I'm kind of the three things that I'm most passionate about right now are individuals building their own, basically building their own personal brand and their own wealth, so to speak, and how to do that. A lot of the people that I work with at the bar are very young. A lot of young girls, a lot of young guys, and I'll sit there and I'll have a conversation with them, man. Like, hey, what are your long-term goals? And a lot of them will say, oh, I'm just going to hustle. I'm going to make that money. Okay. Well, what are you going to do to make that money? Like, girl, you're 20 years old right now. Your tits are popping. You're hot now. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you're 30 years old and that ain't happening? Yeah. When you got to start, bro, like when you're old like us and they start sagging and you got to roll them up.
You got to do extra push-ups just to keep them from, being embarrassing. You're like, I got this going on right now. It's awful.
Yeah. No, man, I think it just comes down to, conversating with people. The other thing that I try and talk about people too, I don't like getting into politics too much because I get frustrated, but really telling people like, hey, you need to sit down and kind of evaluate, sort of the things that you believe in, and who out there best fits and represents what you believe in. Don't go by just what your parents said. If what my parents said, I would, I would be on a different side of the aisle than I am right now. Granted, parties have swayed so much over time, but the other thing I talk about too, Jason knows it, is I'm a huge Second Amendment guy. I'm a huge self-defense guy. You can't rely on someone else for your own self-protection. That's kind of why Jason and I do jujitsu. And
yeah, screw that shit, man. We're not gonna be a victim.
We're like, gangsters, bro.
Ooh, hands up. Oh my goodness.
There you go. Hey, so guys, real quick, I gotta log out. I got a 6 p.m. appointment, and
that's right. Yeah,
we'll touch base back again.
Mario's got some business. He got some
business.
He ain't just talking about finance. He's living finance.
Take care of that business, brother.
Marcus, good to meet you, bro. We'll talk soon.
You too, bro. Drinks are on Mario next time.
Yes.
All right.
Later, guys.
Later. See y'all.